My name's Liam. I talk about business, life, fitness, everything of the sort, and just try to provide value based on my experience. It's just snowed here, so that's why it's a little bumpy, but I've been thinking about this and I just don't know how to articulate it clearly. But essentially what I've noticed is that the things that just make you feel almost angry or anxious or whatever you feel reluctant to say, you should always look at that and analyze it for what it is. For instance, my mom, I was walking through the house and I got gyno surgery, so my nipple got cut open, and so there's stitches. But I'm going to Cancun tomorrow, so I need to go get Band-Aids. And for whatever reason, when my mom's on the phone, she just likes to be just, I don't know how to say it, rude or whatever. She likes to just have an attitude when she's on the phone. I don't quite understand it. And you know, the thing that would hurt for me to say, or I would feel reluctant to say, and again, this is hard for me to articulate for some reason. Maybe this wasn't the best example. In an argument, though, especially, the thing that you don't want to say, which is usually sorry, is usually the thing you need to say. That's what I'm trying to say. So wow, this video has a weird start, but every time you feel like you should say something but you don't want to, you should unpack that and see what that's about. And in arguments, even if I'm wrong or not, if I want to diffuse the argument, I'll say the thing that I'm reluctant to say, which is usually, I'm sorry. If I were you, I would have probably felt the same way you did. However, blank, dot. And so in an argument, it's usually admitting that you did something wrong. And that's hard. But it's the easiest way to diffuse the bomb in that way. And I don't know, I want to find a better way to articulate this, but there's just moments where you sit with, sometimes it's reality, a lot of times it's reality, but if you're able to zoom out, think objectively, think as someone who is completely removed from the situation, has no opinions, no bias, and if you were that person observing the conversation, argument, situation, whatever it is, from a balcony above, what would that person think? If they were to just overhear it, whose side would they take? And that is objectivity right there. It's, if I was removed, if I had no ties, what would I think? And sometimes it's requires you to put yourself in the other person's shoes. So if you're arguing with someone, you genuinely have to, in your head, flip it visually. Try to understand their point of view completely. And a lot of times, if you acknowledge it at least, you might not need to fully understand it. You might not think it's right, but if you acknowledge it and say, hey, if I were you, genuinely, I think I would feel that way as well. And then that's all they need to hear before they open up. So this is a long-winded way to say perspective. Perspective matters. That guy is tweaking on the sidewalk. But perspective matters. Whether you actually want to agree with the opposite side, being able to get in their shoes makes you extremely powerful. I've been reading Steve Jobs lately, and obviously I don't think you can say he should have done this, should have done that, especially if you don't know him personally, but the whole book, it's a biography, so someone else wrote it about him just based on interviews, and basically just a map of his life. And Jobs was extremely irritable, I'd say half the time. He was an excellent salesperson, but he was extremely manipulative. And he always got his way. He had what everyone who knew him called the reality distortion field. So when there was a deadline coming up, he would give his team impossible instructions, impossible plans, and a lot of times it would push them towards greatness, but also a lot of times people resented Jobs. He caused a lot of issues. So it's just interesting to think about. I don't know. Perspective, all of that. I'm just trying to find a good term, a good word for these types of things that you're scared to say, don't want to say, whatever that feeling is. I'm trying to find a way to articulate it. But simply put, it's when you are reluctant to say something, but it's usually the right thing to say. However, I think there's a better way to describe it. So, hope this was helpful. This is me just thinking out loud, quite honestly. But y'all have a great day, and stay blessed.